Good morning, everyone. Thank you so very much that I have the opportunity to share a little bit of God's work in Bolivia, and also I am very blessed that I can be part of that work, and a very big thank you to you as an EMC church that supports me through prayer and financially, and I am very blessed and very happy that I can serve God as part of the work in Bolivia. The biggest part that I'm doing in Bolivia is schoolwork. That is my main job there as a missionary there. And this last year we had 69 students at the end of the school year. That number kind of changes a little bit back and forth throughout the school year. We sometimes have some students that drop out, some students that come and join us throughout the middle of the year. So at the end of the year we had 69 students this year. It is our 5th year there in Asina Verde. So we are very happy that our school is growing. It grows every year. And we had 9 teachers this last year. We had 1 teacher drop out the last 2 weeks of school for some personal reasons. So the last 2 weeks we finished with 8 teachers. That's why there are only 8 teachers on this picture. But we had 9 teachers in our last school year. We have kindergarten through grade 11. We are very happy for this upcoming year. Our school always starts in February and goes through till the end of November. So we are very happy to have our first grade 12 students this coming year. And we do have 2 grades in our grades that are missing. We have no grade 5 and no grade 10 this last year. So we don't have a full school yet, but we are happy that we are where we are already with school. My main job in school is to teach Plotich, and also this last year I did math. We do a lot of subject teaching where the kids go from teacher to teacher because we have Spanish, Plotich, and English in our school. And so we have some Spanish-speaking teachers, some Mennonite teachers. We also had a teacher from States do our English this last year. And because we do so many different languages, we do a lot of subject teaching. So I did only Plotich from grade 3 to 11 and math for grade 6 this last year. The picture here that you're seeing is a grade 8 class, my grade 8 Plotich class. A lot of you are familiar with Dyck and Friesen. They do a huge work to help me with my Plotich classes. They always translate Keys for Kids into Plotich, and that is the reader that I would use for my Plotich classes starting from grade 5 and up. So that is a huge help for our school there, that translating that they do. Our school has had challenges, I think like schools all over the world, with COVID this last year. We had to also shut down our school in March, and we tried it then from home, doing it through WhatsApp. It didn't work very well with our people. A lot of the students wouldn't actually get their schoolwork done at home, so we then tried it that the kids would come to our teachers' houses, and that worked a little bit better. But because we did subject teaching, the students had to go from one teacher to the next teacher's house, so that didn't work very well, and the Bolivian government decided to shut all schools down in June. That is the middle of our school year there. And then we have a 2-week winter break. We do have winter there in the middle of the year. And so when our school then started up, or after that, the Bolivian schools were finished. And we decided if the schools were all finished and the government was leaving us in a Mennonite community alone, we would see if we could not start back in our school building. We saw that it would be very challenging for this next year if our schools did not continue their education, or our students didn't continue their education. So we then decided that we would try back in our school classrooms, and it worked very well. We weren't given any issues, so we actually got to finish our school year 2020 in our classrooms as a normal school year, which was very good for us. Our school has also been able to go out a little bit this last year because in our community we have a music house. This is a music building. It is private. 2 of our missionary couples, they built it there. Music is a huge part of our community. There's a lot of people that really enjoy it. And so for some school extracurricular activities, we then use a school building, or this music building I should say, and it's very nice. We have choir in there normally every week. Music is also done in there. So that is one of the buildings that we have there in our community. It is free to use for anybody in our community, in our church. It is owned by 2 of our missionary couple there. And on that same yard, they have also then built a swimming pool, which our school has then also been able to use. And because we had these things there in our community, we still got to do a few of the extracurricular activities with our students this last year. Apart from school, I have been very involved with youth work there as well. I have been there as a youth leader for 3 years. My term actually ended a year ago, and I have not been a youth leader there for a year about. But our youth normally comes together every Sunday afternoon, and every Thursday evening we have games and devotional every time. We have a very active youth group, so they don't know to sit still for very long. So we always have quite a bit of games and playing and a devotional twice a week with them. And we would normally have it under our big community roof that we have there. And every third month, the first Thursday, we would then get our junior youth group and our youth group together. Our youth are about 40 youth, and our teens are anywhere between 15 and 20. And so every 3 months, then the two groups would combine, and the leaders would plan something extra special for them so that there is some fellowship between the two groups. And this Thursday in particular, the junior youth and the youth leaders had planned a bigger or better event, so that way the parents got a little bit involved too for a change with their kids that were in youth and junior youth. So they were all given a small item to then go walk around in our community. We have quite a few houses that are close together. They can walk from house to house, and they then got to try to exchange their first item for either a bigger or better item. This was actually the winning team for that evening. They got to exchange their final gift for a buggy, and I think arrangements were made that they would get it back at the end of the evening, but they then had the joy of being able to go out to town for a meal with the youth leaders. Like I said, I'm not part of the youth leadership anymore there, but I really enjoy working with the youth, so I try to get involved quite a bit with the youth if I can. While I was a youth leader, then I was responsible for leading one of either a Sunday afternoon or a Thursday night. Now that I'm not a youth leader, I get to kind of invite the youth over whenever I have the time to do it. So I like to invite them over for card nights or for ice cream. I do make my own ice cream there sometimes. And how many youth will come over depends very much on what they have up. For card nights, there's only so and so many that enjoy it. This is inside my house. I had about 20 youth there this night, and my house was nice and full. It still worked. And if I would invite the youth over for ice cream and they know that that is what I'm having, then just about all of the youth will show up. They'll make sure that they can have time for that. So it is something that I enjoy very much, to spend time with the youth like that and to fellowship with them. I do have a rule for myself, though, because I was a youth leader for quite a while there. The youth and students in the classroom, they really like it if, as a leader, that you don't make a difference from one person to the next. So when I first moved there and I got involved with the youth, I made a rule for my house and said, if you as youth want to come over, invite yourself over anytime you want. My door is always open to you. But if you want me to invite you over, then I will invite everyone. We have a youth WhatsApp group, so for me it's always, I don't want to make a difference from one person to the next. And so I will invite them over, and they're all free to come, whoever wants. But if they would like to come over as their small group of friends, then they can gladly invite themselves over. And this in particular is one group that invited themselves over. Well, the one of these boys had cleaned my vehicle, and I had made fresh ice cream that day, and I didn't have time, or it had gotten too late for him to have some ice cream yet with me. I like to give the youth some work sometimes and then have a little bit of personal fellowship that way. And it had gotten too late this day, so I told him he could come over anytime he wanted for ice cream, and he could bring whichever friends he invited then. So he had invited a number of the youth with him, and they came over then one Sunday. And it was a very strange Sunday for me, first off because the youth came almost right after lunch, and they stayed there all the way till around 5 o'clock, and they just sat there on my couches and enjoyed visiting and ice cream. And like I said, our youth is a very active group, so that was a very strange thing for me to just have them sit there in my house all afternoon and just enjoying their time visiting. But it was a very meaningful visit that we had as a number of youth together like that. In our church, we currently have 77 members that are living there in Asina Verde. This is a group that had taken up membership in our church. They had been baptized already and in an Old Colony community or church or in other churches. And our church is growing as well. So this was the biggest group that we had that took up membership in our church this last year. Our normal church attendance would be anywhere between 200 to 250 people. Those would not all be people that live in Asina Verde. We are in the middle of a number of surrounding Mennonite communities, some Old Colony Mennonite communities, some are not Old Colony communities, and we would very often have guests. We would say normally every Sunday there would be some guests in our church from surrounding communities. Our church has also started in this last year with Bible school. Oh, I've skipped a picture here. We have had baptism twice this last year, and this baptism happened in the middle of the year, and we do have still some youth come out of the colony. Technically we'd call it they run away from the Old Colony system. So the 3 boys that are actually got baptized that are in this picture, they're all boys that have come out of the Old Colony community in the beginning of this last year. And they either had family living in Asina Verde already that had heard about this, and they came to Asina Verde wanting and looking for something else than what they were used to in the Old Colony. Yes, we do sometimes have youth that come there for a little bit just looking for freedom from all their Old Colony rules and stuff. And those will very often just come for a little bit and see that our community is not actually what they're looking for. We are looking to grow our community members and the people that do come out of the Old Colony, that they will have a place to grow spiritually. And so we do have some that are actually looking for spiritual growth. They know that there is something else out there and they come searching there. And so these are 3 of the boys that have come out of the Old Colony system this last year, and they then got baptized and became members in our church. Our church has also started a Bible school program this last year. It is a 6-book program that takes 2 years to go through, so we are just halfway finished. We started off with 40-some members in our community taking this Bible school program, and we are now halfway finished, and we still have about 20-some that are continuing with this Bible school program. And it is a way that we see that we can equip our church members there in spiritual growth, and also that they will themselves become leaders in our church, and hopefully also leaders in surrounding churches around us. We hope that a lot of these will also have the passion to go out and share what they have received in Jesus also with surrounding Mennonites around them. Our church also elected its first pastor couples this last year, and we evolved our church in that sense more in getting the local people more involved. We had youth leader elections, we had our first deacon elections this last year, and we also nominated two of our couples from in our church there as pastor couples to be in training for the next year or so that we will also have local people be trained in leadership that way. We also had our first Women's Day this last year in our community. That was more than a Women's Day with the women in our community. We invited Mennonite colonies from all over. For this Women's Day, we had about 100 women that came from very different communities among the Mennonites. Bolivia is very populated with Mennonites. There are about 80-some Mennonite communities in Bolivia, and they say that there are more than 100,000 Mennonites living in that area. And they say that Bill Kaler, our MEM director, he says that he believes about 90% of them still live in the Old Colony system, where they don't actually know Jesus personally. So as a Mennonite mission team there, we see that there is a big world in front of us, that a lot of work needs to be done yet. A little bit about our community in Asina Verde, Bolivia, how the people make an income there. There are mostly agriculture. We have cattle farming and also milking that comes with that. There is also agriculture farming, different things, the things that I think here in Belize you're familiar with as well, corn and beans and so forth. We also do families that are used to doing sesame farming, and we also had the first family trying sunflower seed farming there this year. And those are some of the agriculture farming. We also have a few of those youth boys that have come out of the Old Colony system. They are trying to do coal making. So this is a coal oven. So those are a few of the different things that people do there as an income. And this is our MEM team. We are a team of very different people coming from very different locations. In the back row there, on the left-hand side is Bill Kaler. He is our MEM director, our leader for our MEM team. Beside him, we have Willie and Margaret Enns. They come from Canada. They are our pastor couple there in Hacienda Verde. And beside them, we have Abe and Margaret Harder. They are our pastor couple in the Villanueva Church. Villanueva is part of our MEM work as well, and so they are working in the Villanueva Church. Besides Abe and Margaret Harder, we have Herbert and Elvira Tives. They come from Paraguay. They are working in Hacienda Verde as economic developer and are a very big part of our music work there as well, giving music lessons. He does our choir directing and very passionate about music in our church. Beside them, we have Benny and Esther Fair. They come from Canada. They are our radio workers there in San Jose. And with their work in radio, they also get very involved with the Old Colony Mennonites. A lot of them listen secretly to the radio, and they get a lot of contact actually with the people that are living in the Old Colony Mennonites still through their radio work. And then in the second row on the left-hand side, we have Heike and Stanley Newfold and their son. They come from Paraguay. They are actually our youth leaders right now, are one of them, and she is very involved in music. She does music lessons, and he does all the paperwork for our Hacienda Verde community. And beside them, we have Jacobo and Aganeta Weeb. He comes from Chihuahua, Mexico. She is Bolivian. She has grown up there in Bolivia. And he is a school teacher and also our school communications person that communicates between our principal. Our principal in our school is Bolivian, so he speaks only Spanish. So he is also our communications person then between our school principal, us teachers, and the parents then. And they have been elected now in November as our youth leaders there. Besides Jacobo and Aganeta, we have Mary Barch in the middle row there. She also comes from Canada, Manitoba, Canada, and she is the English teacher in the Villanueva school. She has been there now for 2 years. And beside Mary is me then, and then the last person there is Nancy Friesen. She is our ME administrator. She does all our MEM paperwork for us missionaries. She will do the visa work. And our MEM team has to also go through some legal work to be legally there under the Bolivian government. So there is also paperwork involved with that. So she does all of the paperwork. And then she is also a part-time English teacher in the Villanueva school. And then underneath Nancy Friesen there is Tabea Froze. She was there this last year, the first year, as our English teacher in Hacienda Verde. It was very new for her and very challenging in some areas. And so she will also be joining us this next year. So this was our MEM team the last year, and will stay basically the same for our upcoming year as well. Our MEM has a 5-year plan that we've been working on this last year. It is not completed yet. It's a work in progress. But we as MEM, we see a vision for us in the next 5 years to try to do another 3 church plants. There are very, very many Mennonites in the surrounding areas around us, and we see that there are doors opening around us. There is a group of us from Hacienda Verde, not just MEM mission members, but also from the local church in Hacienda Verde that have been taking part in going into the Old Colony and starting Bible study there again this last year. And for me, it's been a great joy to be a part of that. Before that, I was basically just in school and youth there, so I had very little experience going into the Old Colonies in the 5 years that I have been there. And in the last half year, we have started going back. There were some doors that opened in one of the Old Colony communities. And so I've been a big part I've enjoyed going there. It's been a big part of our church there in Hacienda Verde in the last while. And so we see that there are more and more doors opening, and we hope to have another 3 church plants in the next 5 years. And hopefully with local help, like we said, we have the Bible school program that is to train leaders within our local people there in Bolivia. And so we hope that those will also then be people that will be helping us and doing these church plants, that they themselves will be going out in their own country to be missionaries to fellow Mennonite communities. There are a few things that have been very important to me personally. a little bit of my personal life there. It's been a very challenging year as a teacher with the different things that we had to go through this last year with COVID. Also, I lost my brother last year here in Belize. And so there have been a lot of different challenging things coming up in this last year. And there was a friend that challenged me very much in my spiritual growth. I hadn't realized that from the 5 years since I moved there, that I was so concerned with being a help, being a light, and seeing where I could help people around me, that I had failed to realize that I need to take care of my own spiritual life. And so he really helped me see that I needed to go back to the Bible and dig into the Bible and see what God had for me in my spiritual life. And that is something that was very important for me in this challenging year, that there was somebody brave enough to challenge me spiritually. He would come up with discussions in the Bible. I'm just like, really, that's how you look at it? And then I would have to go back and look into the Bible. What does the Bible really say about it? And in that way, even if we didn't agree on everything, our perspectives on what it said, but it made me see that I needed to be challenged spiritually and go back and study the Bible for myself, not just always looking how I can help the person beside me. Another thing that has been a very important lesson for me this last year, in one of the conversations that I had with our pastor couple, we were talking about church things and how our church was growing and how we might have to change some things that we were doing. And he said something that was very important for me. I'm a person that is very traditional. If I find a thing that works, then that is how I will keep it. A lot of my Plodich classes are very much the same from 5 years ago till today. And I think a lot of students would say, oh, if she would do things a little differently, then it might be a little bit more enjoyable. I might learn a little bit more yet too than the way things are being done now. And the thing that he said was, our goal for our church here in Astina Verde is to not always have everything done exactly the same. Our Sunday morning church service doesn't always need to go through the same routines. Our Wednesday night Bible studies don't always have to be done exactly one in the same way. We can do things differently every now and then. And the reason for that, he said, was a lot of our people come from an old colony Mennonite background, and they're used to rules and traditions from where they come from. And he said that he saw a danger in doing things always the same way in our church. These people are used to rules, and if we always do things one in the same way, it'll become an unwritten rule for them. If in the future things need to change, and if, for example, this last year because of COVID, things had to be done differently, then a lot of them would say, well, we've always done it this way. We have to keep doing it this way. And that is something that I hope to practice in my classroom this next year, that change is not necessarily always bad. A lot of good things can come from change. And so he encouraged me in that way for my personal work there in the school as well, that doing things, experiencing things differently, and trying new things can be a good thing if you're open to it and to do it with the perspective that you want to better things, and if that is the reason why you want to do it. And because this last year was very challenging in different things, there is one Bible verse that was very, very important to me to help me through this, and to help me see that God's help is very important in my life. I'm a very independent person. I live there in my own house, and I have to do a lot of things on my own, and I've become a very independent person. I don't ask for help very easily. And when things got so very hard this last year, I read some verses in 2 Corinthians that I hadn't read for a while. I'm sure they were very familiar to me, and when I read them, my eyes seemed to open, and my prayer wasn't that I wouldn't be weak anymore. And the verses are in 2 Corinthians chapter 12, where Paul says where he has prayed to God a number of times to take away the thorn in his side. And this is the verses in 2 Corinthians 12, verse 9 to 10, that he says after that. But he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my power is made perfect in weakness. Therefore I will boast all the more gladly about my weaknesses, so that Christ's power may rest on me. That is why, for Christ's sake, I delight in weakness, in insults, in hardships, in persecutions, in difficulties. For when I am weak, then I am strong. So I realized it is a good thing for me to be weak, because that is when God's strength can be shown through my life, and God's strength can work through me. Thank you again very much for all the support that you as a church give me, and thank you again for the opportunity to share here. May God bless you.